not a good morning for Spurs fans today,
No.
for sure.
I have to say, I don't know, I wouldn't share your admiration of his honesty after the game. Like, it's actually so rare that you see a manager come out. You can rest assured, right, that after every sporting occasion that involves a coach afterwards, if their team doesn't get the desired result, internally they're thinking, well, I mean, I've done everything. No matter what they're saying outwardly, they're like, I've put this team in the best possible position. And a lot of the time, they just have to take one for the team. In the words of Fire Festival, that's just what's got to happen, right? Like, Steve Bruce is the last one that I can remember, and it isn't that long ago. Where remember he was blaming one of his subs a couple of weeks ago. He sent some lad in off the bench, and he said, "Tell them to go three at the back, whatever it was." And in the space of 30 seconds that the player had been on the pitch, he had managed to deliver the news and got absolutely ripped a new one by Steve Bruce after the game, who's the only man right now this morning ahead of Jose Mourinho in the race to get sacked. And he ain't shifting from there no matter what happens with Tottenham. If they lose the next 20 games in a row, Tottenham and Mourinho's still there. I still think Steve Bruce is going to be ahead of him in that race. But I do think that doing that publicly is no good. I think no good can come of it. I think that his players are looking at it thinking, what loyalty have you got to us? I think however much they'd switched off before that game last night, I think that that's it, gone now. I don't think that they're going to suddenly turn their attitude around on the basis of Mourinho ripping them a new one in a post-match interview. I think that it'll probably, in fact, go the opposite direction. And I think that what you'll see is, once he leaves and Avram Grant or Yogi Love or Wayne Rooney or whoever it is that comes in to replace him, the attitude is going to be absolutely bang on. You'll see that because they'll be looking to make some sort of a message to their fans and to the public that, well, it was that guy that was stinking the house out, nothing to do with us.
Well, the attitude was right for a lot of the season, is the thing. The attitude was almost a ruthlessness that we had seen from peak Mourinho teams that we were seeing again this season. A team that wasn't just satisfied to beat a team 1 or 2-0. And like we saw it recently enough in that game against Burnley where they absolutely smashed them, that there was an edge about this team still. I think what's becoming more apparent is that those big results for Tottenham weren't fluky, but they were certainly not that much down to what Jose Mourinho is bringing to the table. It's all down to what Harry Kane and Heung-min Son has brought to the table, what Gareth Bale, who, let's not forget, was one of the best players in the world a few years ago, what he was bringing to the table and what Lucas Moura can bring to the table. It was a coincidence, I think, that Jose Mourinho happened to be the manager of this team that was doing so well for the early part of the season. It's not even a dilemma, I think, at this point. I think there is almost a sense that you keep Jose and you hope for the best that he can bring you into the top 4 next season, or you get a new manager who will give you a better chance of doing that. And as a result, you'll be able to keep Harry Kane at the club. I think it comes down to that one player. Like I mentioned, the other attacking assets there, but really Daniel Levy needs to think, what is the best way we can approach this, that Harry Kane is still a Tottenham Hotspur player at the end of next season, and we're confident that he's going to be a Spurs player into the season after that, because it's almost like an American sports at this point where you build a franchise around a player. Tottenham Hotspur almost have to ensure that everything is built around Harry Kane, because he is by far and away their best player, the player with the best attitude, their leader on the pitch and off the pitch. And I think that it would be worth the removal of Jose Mourinho, no matter how much money that would take, in order to ensure he stays, because he's got to be getting itchy feet at this point. Playing in Zagreb is a bit of a Dynamo Zagreb on a Thursday night is probably a bit of an offence to Harry Kane himself, but to actually lose that game. And of course, he was responsible as well. It probably twists the knife a little bit, and the whole loyalty to Spurs thing might be questioned over the next little while if nothing changes over the course of the 3 or 4 months, whatever we have before the start of next season.
Yeah, well, look at it. I think that's a good point. I think that if Daniel Levy is looking around him this morning to think, where's this club at? Surely he's taking a sense check from the players. Are we still Jose doing a good job? Like, what are you thinking? And Harry Kane is probably one of those players he goes to. And I mean, the response to that, I think, is somewhat important. We're seeing what we've seen from Jose Mourinho at several clubs over the last number of years, in that he just gets a bit dour, he gets a bit defeatist, to be honest. I think that's sort of where he's at. We shall see how it all plays out. As I said, Jose's second favourite in that race to get the bullet, and an interesting list of people that are in the offing to replace him. But we're not quite there yet. I'm sure we'll have plenty more chat about Jose Mourinho over the course of the morning. You are watching OTB AM. Love to get your comments in over the course of the day between now and 10 a.m. Please do get into contact with us, whether it's a bit of Jose, whether you were watching Manchester United last night and were really impressed with them in the second leg against Milan, or any other events around the world of sport. Please do get your comments coming into us this morning. OTB AM, live in association with Gillette. Good mornings. Start with Gillette. giving you the confidence to tackle the day ahead. Phil Egan, good morning to you.
How are you doing, lads? How are you getting on?
Jose Mourinho nearing the exit door, Phil, or can turn the ship around?
Look, we know how it ends. The question is what happens before it ends, and this window seems to be getting smaller and smaller in terms of Jose Mourinho. You know, he replaced Pochettino last season, and this was his first full season. You thought, yeah, he's got a really good squad. Things started pretty well after they got over the opening weekend defeat to Everton. You know, they had those impressive wins where they just sat in, obviously hammered United at Old Trafford, beat Manchester City, beat Arsenal. But said it last Monday after the defeat to Arsenal, if you actually look back at the wins that they've had this season since their win over Arsenal at White Hart Lane, they haven't beaten any good teams in the Premier League, and anytime they come up against a decent side they lose to them. And he's pretty much put it all into the cup competitions. That League Cup final on the 25th of April will seem like an age away for Spurs fans.
It'll be fascinating to watch them over the next little while. We will have lots more Jose chat over the next couple of hours.